Regulatory audits reveal a persistent vulnerability in pharmaceutical operations, the measurable gap between written instructions and the actual work performed on the shop floor. When an auditor walks into your facility, they are observing a physical dynamic. They take a perfectly formatted document, stand next to an operator, and watch exactly how the task is being handled in real time. If the written instructions state one thing and the operator does something else, even a single omitted step, the result is a compliance failure. This vulnerability often stems from an operational dilemma. Cross-functional teams frequently blur the lines between simply documenting a daily routine and executing a fully planned verification study. This confusion centers on two distinct documents with very different requirements: the standard operating procedure and the protocol. Both are necessary, but they require different execution strategies. Applying the rigid expectations of one to the living reality of the other leads directly to data integrity failures. To survive an inspection, quality teams must establish clear structural boundaries between how they execute routine tasks and how they conduct planned validation. This comparison matrix defines the boundary: SOP for routine execution on the left and protocol for planned validation on the right. The SOP side is your daily manual. It dictates the repetitive tasks that keep your facility running. For example, an SOP provides the exact, approved sequence for cleaning a bioreactor tank every time a batch is completed. The protocol side operates under different rules. This is a framework for temporary, one-time verification studies used to prove a process works. Before you can use that bioreactor SOP, you run a protocol. You execute a 3-run study to scientifically prove that the cleaning method effectively removes all residues. Relying solely on an SOP for a new process is a major risk. An SOP tells you what to do, but it lacks the pre-approved acceptance criteria needed to validate that the results are consistent. Flawless execution of a daily routine proves nothing to an auditor if the underlying process was never validated by a protocol. Once the process is validated, everyday SOP execution takes over. This phase requires constant Alcoa++ compliance on every logbook and batch record. In the heat of production, errors happen. An operator might perform a cleaning step perfectly, but fail to check the box, or override a recording error without adding a signature and date. These recording errors are more than just paperwork mistakes. They are immediate data integrity risks that auditors flag the moment they see them. Protocol execution is different. It focuses on capturing raw data to prove a hypothesis, which is eventually compiled into a comprehensive final report. Compliance fails when an operator brings that final reporting set to their daily SOP. They might prioritize completing the physical task and plan to catch up on the logbook entries later. Postdating or omitting real-time signatures and daily logs creates a gap between the written requirement and the physical reality of the floor. In routine operations, if the record is not created in real time, it is legally equivalent to having no proof of action at all. These documents also have different lifespans. SOPs are living documents requiring continuous version control as long as the facility operates. Updates are triggered by new equipment, process changes, or corrective actions taken after a recurring deviation. Protocols, however, are closed loop. Once the study ends and the data is verified, the document is finalized and archived. Because SOPs change, keeping the physical documents current is a massive vulnerability. Failing to remove an outdated version from a shop floor binder is one of the most common audit observations. This flowchart illustrates the logical path to failure. When the reference document is outdated, the operator executes an outdated routine, which immediately invalidates the resulting record. Controlling the physical presence of a document on the floor is just as critical as writing the document correctly in the first place. When an auditor evaluates your shop floor, they are actively hunting for the space where your records and your practices diverge. The goal is to bring the rigorous planning of a protocol to the daily execution of your SOPs. Aligning these processes requires a significant front-loaded investment in document reviews, training, and shop floor observations. That investment produces a defensible, audit-ready shop floor where documentation and practice remain in sync during an inspection. Keep this mental checklist for your quality team. SOPs manage your controlled routine, and protocols manage your controlled studies. A mismatch between them creates your audit gap. Defining and enforcing these boundaries internally is difficult for teams focused on meeting daily production quotas. External support, through SOP simplification, protocol prep, or targeted GMP training can help your team identify these gaps quickly. Take the time to review your procedures and close the documentation gap before an